I think as far as Star Wars, like we have reached critical mass of apathy. Like people legitimately just do not care if whatever Star Wars outside of normies like fans. The people that buy the merch, the people that grew up on Star Wars, just the majority of them just don't care what movies come out. And you gotta understand, right? This is goodwill that the Star Wars had as an IP with its consumer base went under LucasArts and Lucasfilms. Like so many games, so many TV shows, so many movies came out of Star Wars, and they were like well, people accepted them. Like they were well received. People had faith in the product and the IP. But now, like nobody cares. Like any TV show, any okay, maybe with like the Mandalorian in Andor, and I suppose Ahsoka. But it's like for every good IP and good product or like series, there's just two or three garbage series that they believe will sell based off the success of the previous. And now we've just, like I said, entered critical mass of apathy that people just legitimately do not care. And it's odd because nobody watched this show but like the Acolyte, but a disproportionate amount of people defend it. Like I'm willing to guess people defended this show that didn't even watch it or don't care to watch it. They're doing it for ideological reasons. So let's give this a watch, shall we? I haven't watched Nerdrotic. Not gonna lie, I haven't watched a single video of his. I mean, just no reason. Just never crossed. Like I heard his name a lot, at least in the past year. Like the only time I hear like Nerdrotic or like Mauler or like these well, I guess Nerdrotic and Mauler are completely different, but any type of channel that critiques an IP or a product, the only time you hear about these is in articles that attack them and demand YouTube do something about them because apparently they're merchants of hate. Like, I got this comment in one of my videos that all these people are merchants of hate. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, notice how people are now inventing terminology that only means something in their head, but absolutely nothing in reality. Let's give this a watch.
Cultural critics like The Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic have dubbed the show lore-breaking for its recent revelations, but their commentary isn't productive. Rather, it encourages bigotry and hatred over a show that's just getting started.
What? Yeah, and again, I guess I've this ability to point out someone's political stance based off nothing more than the terminology they use. Like, this is something that I have fine-tuned. Like, you're not going to hear an evangelical Christian use the word rape culture or masculinity or, these odd, 2-month terminology that sprouts up and is never used again because everyone rejects the terminology. Like, you're never going to hear, a wokey use the word family values or traditional or, you don't you just don't, because they're so ideologically opposed that they even reject the frame in which you argue. So they're not going to use these terminologies. Like when people use hatred and bigotry, it's like I automatically know. And they've used this for like argumentation. Like, I'll say the word masculine to describe games because of the demographic that the games are for, right? But that's not an argument. That's just a descriptor. But people use these terminologies in arguments. It's like you already know the type of individual and the type of political stance they have. And people do this subconsciously. Like, they use the terminology that best suits their ideology, and they don't even think about it.
Encourages bigotry and hatred over a show that's just getting started.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
The power of one. Power of two. The power of many.
And unfortunately, a lot of like these IP, like the holders of these IPs are doing the Logan Paul strat of any publicity is good publicity, and they're purposely trying to be the heel because eyes on it just means more clicks and more views. Like, it has literally gotten down to the point where everyone's trying to be the clown. But if everyone's trying to be the clown, everything just seems like a fucking circus. And circuses are fun the first time, and maybe the second time, and possibly the third time. But we're on the 11th time, and it's like, I just want something good. Like, it's fun to shit on bad products. But after a while, it's like, well, I want to consume good product. Can you give me good product?
Nerderotic.com.
I didn't want to make this video, but considering the...
Don't fucking lie to me. Yes, you look at that face. Yes, you do. This is absolutely your farming content. What the fuck are all those? Okay. What's that yellow and blue figurine? I guess it'd be to his right in the middle. I think I've seen that before when browsing Toys R Us, but man, that's a lot. Whatever.
Events of the last week where we found out that the Acolyte isn't ruining Star Wars. We are, and that's the royal we, by the way. The 14% audience score should be embarrassing for the reviewers and apparently the Critical Drinker and yours truly through our reviews of a poorly written streaming show are fostering hatred and bigotry. Keeping all that in mind, I have decided to reconsider and apologize. For nothing. Let's talk about The Acolyte episode 4. Previously on The Acolyte.
And again, like, these tactics, do they even work anymore? Like, I know at first they kind of hit you with the shock value because they'll be like, you're racist. Like, wait, what the fuck? Like, no, what, huh? And again, at first it was shock value, but now people aren't shocked. Like, people understand the culture that has happened in the past and understand the tactics that were used, and now they're just, like, just calling someone a label just doesn't work. Right? Like, you actually have to address things like these like adults.
You lost your entire family. Your mothers, your sister.
I carried them. I created them. The power of one. The power of two. The power of many.
Yeah, well, it didn't have many episodes. Got him.
Where is their father?
They have no father.
You are not.
Got him. Got him.
Ascension is about walking through fear. It is about sacrificing a part of yourself. The power of many instead of the power of one.
Got him.
Time to die.
Yeah, and again, people see these themes, right? And they're like who is the targeted demographic? Who is this product meant for? Who? just who? It's like, if you just break this down, like these TV shows and these themes down to the lowest common denominator, and I do believe he's probably nitpicking the very specific points that he can put a political stance to, but for what I'm told, The Acolyte is effectively a telenovela. Like, if you look at the older Star Wars shows, they do a lot less talking, unless it's of things of value, and a lot more action. A lot more going to weird worlds, meeting weird creatures, doing weird things, and a lot less humans talking about human things, because humans in sci-fi are fucking boring. Unless it's like, I don't know, Battlestar Galactica, but the point of Battlestar Galactica is, yeah, I mean, it's the drama.
The Acolyte Episode 4 is thankfully a very short 27 minutes and 11 seconds, not counting the previously on credits, which quite frankly isn't enough to review, but thanks to The Acolyte's lead actress Amandla Stenberg providing us with some bonus content, now there is. The Acolyte Episode 4 Day is filled with slow-moving establishing shots, multiple exposition scenes, characters slowly walking down hallways or slowly walking up to doors, characters talking to each other and not making much sense, and we're gonna skip all that. It opens
up. See, that's what I mean, right? There's just a lot of things that, okay, again, who likes things like these other than middle-aged women? Like, the targeted demographic for Star Wars has always been young adolescent men. Like, we can pretend that's a bad thing. We can play make-believe, but that is the demographic. So, if you take something meant for young adolescent nerdy men and just make it for this fictional wider audience that doesn't exist, by the way, right? Because you only have your demographic. There's no such thing as art for everybody. Like that like in any situation, like name any fucking product, period, and it's like, oh, this is for everyone. It's like it falls apart immediately. But this is the idea that they're trying to just effectively impose onto people, that no, like this is for everyone. Like, everyone can. It's like, that's not the point of art. Like, the point of art isn't to be for everyone.
Up with an establishing shot of Planet Gobbledygook, where we find the Wookiee cooking and possibly investigating the lesbian space witches. Man, at least we get to see a Jedi Wookiee fight, right? Can't wait for that. This is followed by a scene with Osha, who was coincidentally OSHA trained to put out fires in space, crushing on X-23. And who couldn't see this coming with a Disney Star Wars product? Two young girls crushing on each other after roughly 4 minutes of screen time together. Now, to be fair to the House of Mouse, if they break up next episode, it checks out. Jedi Master Nepo does some girl bossing and quickly assesses that May was trained by a Jedi. How? From this hologram. The nepotism is strong with this one, but I'm not really sure how she figured it out. Maybe...
Yeah, and they're just, like they were rapid firing through all these points through talking that would have been better to have shown, right? It's like, okay, she was trained to be a Jedi. Well, show us. Don't tell us. We're not 5. You're not trying to just will something into being. Like, character establishment just doesn't act like, it doesn't work that way. You don't speak something into existence and it just exists.
It was these awesome Jedi moves. Then Jedi Master Nepo spends the rest of the scene trying to figure out what the hell Jedi Master Soul is saying.
May's objective is not solely her own.
And despite absolutely nothing happening in this episode, Leslie Headland wouldn't want to miss an opportunity to once again take George Lucas's lore to Harvey's couch. Hey, remember the guy who said this in The Phantom Menace?
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
This is Jedi Master Conehead, or Ki-Adi-Mundi, who wasn't supposed to be born at this time until, of course, Disney Star Wars decided to retroactively destroy more lore. And honestly, that's the least of this scene's problems, because apparently there's...
No, I think, like, it's something that people don't care about until they do care, until you force them to care. And now they absolutely care. Like, there are people that will absolutely not engage with any IP that breaks established lore because it's just objective proof that the people over the IP don't know and or care. Like, it shows a level of ignorance, purposeful ignorance, or laziness, or lack of understanding, and anyone can point this out and figure it out. Like, even children can, with like teachers. Like, this is just a type of deduction that we have with, you know, art and of people and of things that for some reason we need to throw out the window because your ideology demands you do. It's like, no.
There's a deleted scene out there where, after saying that the Sith have been extinct for a millennium, he follows that up with, except for that time we ran across a coven of lesbian space witches where two of them managed to conceive twin daughters without a father, who incidentally didn't look anything like their mother. I mean, where are the horns? But they were created by this thing called the Thread. So that really dark lord-looking dude carrying around a red lightsaber who trained May couldn't possibly be a Sith. It's not important. Please keep in mind this is the same Disney Star Wars that's been destroying George Lucas's lore for years and doing things like having Han Solo walk into a lightsaber, Luke Skywalker overdosing on the Force, Princess Leia died, not really sure how. Somehow, Emperor Palpatine returned, and their one-hit series is a repurposed Boba Fett and a repurposed Yoda. And when they got around to doing a Boba Fett series, they made him Boba Fett.
And I tried to cut back on the beers so the stomach wouldn't be out too far.
And then there's Obi-Wan Kenobi, whose sole purpose was to watch Luke Skywalker until Disney Star Wars got a hold of him, and he decides to fuck off twice to fight Darth Vader twice and not mention it later, meet a toddler Princess Leia that Princess Leia fails to mention later, and the Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi had a real hard time getting through a gate he could clearly walk around, and Ahsoka being alive to usurp Luke Skywalker's story. In other words, it's on brand for modern Disney Lucasfilm. Anyway, Solo...
Yeah, and again, you point all these out, but for some reason, again, it's people who just do not care for the lore and the IP that will go after you for pointing these things out. But they claim to be the fan, and this is why people do care about fake fans, because there are just these specific type of people that they weaponize disgust, so they will go after anything they don't like, rather it's not in like art or entertainment, and every generation had to face these types of people. It's why, like, with Roman statues, they either put leaves on the junk or chiseled out the titties when Christianity came along. Like, every generation had to face these people that just, they will go after just anything that they just do not like and attack anything that they do not like or are not comfortable with. Like, it's a childish mindset that for some reason grown-ass adults have that doesn't serve anything. Like, I guess you get the satisfaction of removing a thing in order to fight a non-existent demon in your head, but you create enemies that I guess you'll eventually call racist, or to just throw a label on to justify you keep doing what you're doing. And it's something that, like, it's a zero-sum gain. No matter where you look, it's like, okay, you feel good, cool. I mean, you keep acting like that, you'll just alienate people from your life. Like, people be like, why would I hang around this person that's just going to spurg out at anything he doesn't like? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And Jedi Master Nepo devise a plan to once again use Osha as bait to draw out May. And this brings us to the most poignant scene in all of the Acolyte, the use of pronouns in live-action Disney Star Wars.
Is he or they with us?
And again, yet another thing that when people see, it is an assumption, and you can dislike that all you want and throw a label on the people. But if people see or hear things like pronouns, like they're like, oh, okay, so there's this ideological slant inside of this entertainment, I'm already tuning out.
And the rest of the 27-minute episode is spent with the clueless Jedi in a race to get to Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi, before Asian Ezra Miller and May. Then we get a heel turn that might give you whiplash. May is good now. You heard me right.
I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to kill a Jedi without a weapon. I don't need to keep this deal. What? Osha being alive changes everything. My loyalty is to Osha, not your master. What I'm going to do is surrender myself to Kelnaka, and then turn myself into the Jedi. No.
You gotta be f***ing kidding.
And this shouldn't surprise anyone. Nobody thought that diverse female antagonist was actually going to be evil. Of course she's going to be oppressed somehow, and her actions will be justified, even being responsible for the death of 2 Jedi.
Down with the...
Yeah, and again, it's like, this is the stereotype that is created. Like, the people of the ideology created this stereotype, and they're going after you for pointing it out. Like, yeah. And this has started because, like, in, like, 2016, the idea of, like, at first it was positive female role models, but what it eventually became, you know, tearing down male role models just to create female role models within entertainment. And now it's, oh, if the characters of a certain race or of a certain ethnicity or identify a certain way or have a certain pronouns, they're not supposed to be portrayed as the villain. Like, this is where this has led. And again, people see the trope, but no one wants to point it out. And tropes in and of themselves are not bad. Like, there are tropes that absolutely work because they're tropes anyone can, you know, appeal to. Like, putting aside your differences with a specific group of people to deal with a greater evil. Like, anyone from, I'd say even any culture on the planet can relate to that. But then you have these tropes that only appeal to a small fraction of individuals with daddy issues of a tiny ideology that believes that, no, they need to subvert the culture. And you end up just making a product. And this is why when people say, oh, if they say the product's for everyone, it ends up being for no one. Because you actually just alienate people from other cultures.
Patriarchy.
And leave it to a Disney Star Wars Gen Z villain to give up on revenge because it's hard. This brings us to Kelnaka, the Jedi Wookiee, arguably the most compelling thing about this series. It would have been awesome to see him fight, right? Well, he dies off screen. And what was the reason we didn't get to see a Jedi Wookiee fight? The budget. Listen, guys, they only had $180 million. What do you expect? And after sitting through 27 minutes and 11 seconds of an episode that felt like it was 2 hours long, you would think this Disney Star Wars intricately written story would lead to something. After we had 2 girls crushing on each other, pronouns in space, and a Wookiee Jedi killed off screen. Nah, Smilo Ren shows up and pushes a bunch of Jedi.
God.
And the big mystery to the 5s and 10s of people who are actually interested in the show is, who is Smilo Ren? Is it Asian Ezra Miller? It could be, but I'm leaning towards something like this. Credit to Disney Star Wars for not making an episode as bad as the previous. The good news with The Acolyte, we're halfway through the season. The bad news, we're only halfway through the season. And just when you think things couldn't get worse for Lucasfilm, they do. Series star Amandla Stenberg, who has the amazing ability to play two characters exactly the same way with the exact same haircut, decided to come out with a diss track against Star Wars fans. A diss track that Amandla feels so strongly about that she's copyright claiming absolutely everyone who posts.
Yeah, and I believe this is just something that she was compelled to do by her agency or by like Disney. I mean, most people just understand that, okay, if you play a role, you're probably like there's going to be people that don't like your role online. And then this is the odd thing, like I 100% believe she experienced racism and sexism online, like absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt. But it's the fucking internet. Sack the fuck up. Like, can you say that to a woman, to sack the fuck up, to pull her balls out her purse? Can you say that? I think that that's applicable here. Like, this is clearly a decision made by Disney or by her agency or by whoever to generate more clout. And clearly, them taking the videos down off YouTube, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, I think Disney and YouTube are bed buddies. Like, YouTube's bed buddies with plenty of massive corporations, and this is just something that, you know, just it's to be expected.
Posted on X or YouTube. In what's likely an industry first, a TV show star has written and released a song and a music video complete with dance moves in response to racist backlash against the show.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
A song with a chorus, and I quote, "We so bored, don't fuck with yo discourse." Yet, you made an entire song about it. And most of this song is in response to End Wokeness putting up an older interview with Trevor Noah where Amandla Stenberg says she wants to make white people cry that had nothing to do with The Acolyte. Because taking things out of context to support a narrative doesn't help anyone. I want you to remember that. Amandla Stenberg, the adult pretender who's worth $3 million, speaks mostly of oppression in her song, but she also says this. Speaking of which, journalists, I'm looking at you. Did you forget it's your job to provide the truth? Spreading divisiveness, mining the metrics and date. Seem you gave up on all your ethics for money and views, and I can tell you that people are tired. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's true. But again, maybe she's using the broad term of journalist. So, like, a dude on YouTube is the same thing as, like, Kotaku. But, I don't know, I mean, I'm trying to give the most charitable interpretation. And that's the fact that she was told to do this. And hell, they're probably like, yeah, we'll give you whatever you want. Lyrics, a ghostwriter, whatever. Just say what the fuck you want to say. There you go.
Yes, they are. Because you can absolutely apply what you said there to Disney, the company you work for. And the kids don't trust anything they view. And you're right. But you don't have to worry about that with The Acolyte because no kids are watching it. Another lyric from the song by adult pretender worth $3 million, Amandla Stenberg. And now you listening, I'ma tell you something fascinating. They spinning woke, bastardizing it, and appropriating it. Last I recall, woke was something we created. Did you create it, Amandla? Speak truth to power. I don't hate to break this to you, Amandla.
I mean, there's this historical revisionist ideology that's kind of been permeating. Like I looked at this book that said, like, talking about how the European settlers were black and how, well, I mean, their ancestors were black from Africa, And it's this odd, like, idea that it's like, well, what are we doing? What the fuck does any of this matter? Like, I get it, you're trying to get the ideological gotcha, but if you were to tell this to your average Walmart American who probably believes in Jewish space lasers, they'd also be like, this is too much for me. And clearly, you're talking shit. And for some reason, this ideology has been sort of inducted into what I call the anti-American, anti-Western, traditionalist ideologies, which is literally just, oh, let's side with literally anything against these things. Like communists and socialists. And they use that word woke, and it's like, what the fuck does that, like that's some third eye bullshit. Like, can we please speak like adults instead of trying to invent terminology? No? Okay. I mean, I guess I can't complain. I mean, I use slang like on God and shit, but I use that for comedic effect. They unironically believe this terminology because their ideology demands it.
And anyone else at Lucasfilm, because apparently you need to hear this again. You are the power. You work for one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world who owns ABC, ESPN, Hulu. They bought Fox for $72 billion. They're a little influential. They're also, and forgive me if you've heard this one before, the same company that thanked a concentration camp in China for Mulan, covered up Chadwick Boseman's face on the Black Panther poster for China, shrunk Finn on the Force Awakens poster for China. A company...
Yeah, and people see this, and now they're like, okay, so you're insulting my intelligence. You're insulting the intelligence of the people you claim to be representing, the diverse individuals. And obviously they did it because they wanted to sell the movie in China, and lo and behold, other fucking cultures don't care for American morality. If you want to make money from them, you do what the fuck they say, obviously. But,
well known for providing the discourse and gaslighting what's left of the divided fandom for years. Now, as far as Disney Star Wars is concerned, Amandla, you're just the latest shield they can hide behind to cover for a bad TV show. And your diss track takes things wildly out of context and conflates them to support a narrative. One that calls Star Wars fans, your potential paying customers, racist, which unfortunately is on brand for modern Disney. Here's how the game plan works. Preemptively attack your fans by calling them racist before your crappy show comes out. The show comes out, everyone says it's crappy. Continue to call the fans racist. One of the stars makes a video calling the fans racist. Access media articles are written in support of the actor calling the fans racist. And then the inevitable support from Disney or Star Wars or both calling the fans racist while supporting the actress. And please tell me when this has ever worked. The Acolyte...
Yeah, it's like this never works. You cannot shame and weaponize your empathy against people and just have the money flow. Like, at the end of the day, this is a product, and it's a bad fucking product. And if you put your ideology on a bad fucking product, well, then that does irreparable damage to your ideology, right? I mean, am I crazy for thinking this? Is this the wrong way to think? Like, if you put ideology on a terrible fucking product, like, that damage, like, the product itself, like, people can tell if a product is being used as, like, a soapbox to talk down on them. Like we've had even with the Christians and the evangelicals did the same thing. Like, you use literally the exact same argument here with what would be considered the woke ideology. And again, you use that term and people automatically tune out. But what people are trying to explain is the phenomenon, the actions that we know are being used here by the specific people, and they're like, oh, well, and you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, we're not doing this, even though we use literally the exact same fucking tactics. It's like, sure.
It's the marvels of Star Wars. It was something that was predictably bad. We just didn't know how bad it would be. Recently, a Spaceballs sequel was announced, and it's well over a decade too late because Disney's Star Wars is the parody. And as far as independent reviewers fostering hatred and bigotry, the only ones I see doing that are Disney.
Certainly, there have been times where, you know, there's no way we're hiring a white male person.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but
how would they say it?
There's no way we're hiring a white male in this role.
Got him. Yeah, like they're actively doing the things that the fans are shitting on them for doing, right? Not surprising in the slightest.
If you like what you heard, please like, share.
But yeah, and again, it's odd how, again, when you call out the tactics, you're called a racist. 14% audience score, that's the power of many. Yes, sir. Use that as my title if I can. My fucking mouse is fucked. Bad script, bad acting, bad storytelling, but we are the problem. Make perfect sense, Disney. Yeah, they know it's bullshit. The wasting of lore, the wasting of fans, the wasting of many. Oh god, that's such an amazing. I think I'll make you. Yeah, you're gonna be my title. Stealing comments and using them as titles. When Yoda said pregnant men can get, the scene made me cry. The failure of one. God damn it, there's so many goddamn good titles. The failure of two. The failure of many. Oh my damn it. Yeah, I'd say this is the best. The blaming of white. Yeah, see, people are just shitting on this because this idea is just retarded. Like, this doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't help anyone. Like, I guess you get the, get your daddy issues out, but it doesn't fix anything. The guy that drank the poison was the smartest character. He was like, F this, dumpster fire, I'm out, cheers. I'm so sick and tired of the WordPress millionaire actors. Yeah, I don't know how, like, I guess people purposefully fall for things like these. It's like they choose to be manipulated into this line of thinking. Disney were breaking racial stereotypes. Also, Disney makes a show about two black kids that don't have a father. 10 out of 10. Huge. I don't understand why they spent all the money for an IP that they don't even like. I mean, this is kind of what's happening with a lot of IPs. It's like companies are buying them up, trying to mass produce the product. And, I mean, you might get normies because, I mean, most people aren't into this zeitgeist like the rest of us. But, yeah, I think even with Star Wars, the normies are like, what the fuck is this? Darth Vader was literally the most infamous and famous villain of our time. Is voiced by a black man. If SW Star Wars fans were racist, they'd have been boycotting since A New Hope. I mean, again, you're looking too far into they don't care, right? Like, they will chart the path that will, inevitably prove their ideology, even if, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, they don't care about this. This doesn't mean anything. Daughter of a rich white dude worth millions has own TV show oppressed. Yeah. And again, I said this before and I say this again, in the wake of P. Diddy and in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein and Amber Heard, like, people don't fucking care for which rich millionaires and American actors telling them how to, you know, be decent human. Be like, shut the fuck up. Right? People don't care to be moralized to, even if you're correct, even if you're right. Shut the fuck up. I hate the new Star Wars on God. But anyway, I mean, I love to watch terrible fucking products fall. So this is a good thing. Peace.